One of the biggest complaints I get from people when they're trying to stick with a plan is cravings, food cravings, specifically for real high calorie sugary foods. Put a plan in place to deal with these cravings is first we need to understand the different type of cravings. It's not as simple as you lack self-control, you're ill-disciplined, you are getting these food cravings. There's so many different ways why people will experience this. First is stress. Okay, we've talked about stress before in other videos, and stress can cause food cravings in a number of different ways. Firstly, everyone knows when they've had a stressful day, you're not feeling good, and you may come home and try to fill that emotional void, emotional pick-me-up through food, through high-calorie processed food. What is actually happening here? Well, when you haven't had a good day, you're stressed, all the good chemicals in your brain, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, they're all down low. So when you come home, your brain kind of signals, get something to make you feel better. And the easy way to do this, the most accessible way, is through really high calorie food that increase all these good chemicals. Again, these processed foods are designed to hit that reward pathways. And so when we do so, we're hitting the same kind of areas of the brain that other addictive tendencies happen. And then over time, the trigger of stress, eating these foods and the temporary reward causes that stress emotional eating and the habit loop to become very ingrained and almost impossible to stop for some people. The way you want to think of it is stress eating is simply a coping mechanism to make you feel better temporarily. Think of stress, another way which stress can cause really food cravings is that it messes with our blood sugar regulation, okay? And specifically that people that are already out of shape, who don't have good blood sugar regulation, which means the ability to keep your blood sugar level so your brain can get less energy. If you get too low, okay, when you're stressed, it's gonna go up and down. And if you're already overweight, as I said, you're gonna have worse control over it. When it's at the floor, when it's down, what your brain signals is to go and eat high calorie, sugary foods to basically pick that back up, because as I said, your brain needs a constant supply of blood sugar. As well as this, when our cortisol, our stress hormones high for long periods of time, our brain also signals to consume more high calorie food, just in case basically we need those reserves, because our brain thinks we're in danger. When we add this aspect of it to decision fatigue and the environment where all this high calorie food is everywhere after a stressful day, you can see why it's very, very hard to stay on track, especially when you're ill prepared during times of high stress, when you've had a stressful day. This is why it's so important to understand this and put in place aspects that will reduce cortisol throughout the day. First of all, like in the stress management chapter. And also, which we'll look at in the emotional eating chapter, is the ability to put in place behaviors when you feel stressed that basically give you the same reward but without binging out on food. So you might do an activity or do something that makes you feel better and temporarily feel less stressed. Go to the gym, talk to your spouse, relax, whatever it is, and we'll talk about that in future videos. Another physiological way that relates back to what we talked about, blood sugar regulation, is for some people when they're really out of shape and they're used to running on very high carb food, high sugar, high carb food. When they skip a meal, the body's not primed enough to deal with that blood sugar regulation. So the blood sugar may drop going too long between meals. And again, your brain will signal to pick it back up through high calorie food, high carb, high calorie food. So again, in this case, if you find when you're recording your food that long periods between your meals and fasting don't necessarily suit you, especially starting off, you may need to have more regular meals. Psychological way, which people don't really think about, is again how you think about your plan. There are diets out there that basically tell you not to eat carbs, not to eat X foods, keto, blah, blah, blah. Most diets restrict something from your from your nutrition each day. Now the problem with this from a human perspective is when you tell someone not to eat something, that's all they really fucking think about. So when you have diets that say don't eat carbs, all that person is thinking about is eating carbs again. And that mental restriction can result in these cravings and again, you binging out. Again, it's just like when you tell someone don't press the big red button, as humans, that's all we want to do. So we need to be careful how we frame the nutrition, and this is why we don't really want to demonize any particular food, because that could place overemphasis on that and then have the backfired effect that all we do is want that food.